Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'd love to be the first to invite you to join us and welcome you in today to our Concussion Awareness Now Champion Rally for National Concussion Awareness Day. My name is Gina Petty. I'm the project director of Concussion Awareness Now, and we are thrilled to have you joining us today and would love to get us started with our agenda for today. So what we're hoping to do today, we'll do a little bit of a welcome and an overview of Concussion Awareness Now. And then I will be glad to invite our special guest, Dr. Brooke Mills, founder of National Concussion Awareness Day. Hi, Brooke. Thank you for joining us. We'll have a Q&A with Brooke and learn more about the history of concussion, National Concussion Awareness Day, and more about Brooke, which will be a great conversation. Then we will be talking about our champions and what you're doing today, all of the exciting things that folks have been doing to raise awareness on this day, and share some examples with you and some additional ways that you can continue the conversation about concussion beyond today as well. And then we'll have time for some Q&A from our attendees, and we'll wrap up with some final reminders. So without further ado, I will just jump in and share a little bit of an overview of Concussion Awareness Now for those of you who may be joining us for the first time. So Concussion Awareness Now is really working to solve the problem that half of people who suspect that they have a concussion never get it checked. And so together with our partners, who I'll share with you a bit on the next slide. But together with our partners, we're trying to create a future where every person with a concussion receives the diagnosis, the best possible care, and the resources and information that they need. And our vision is to be a force for change by driving awareness of the seriousness of concussion and the importance of seeking help so that no one ever ignores a concussion again. And so we are just really honored to be part of this group collectively, to be the Concussion Awareness Now Coalition. So CAN, as we call it, is co-chaired by the Brain Injury Association of America and Abbott. And then we have a steering committee and general membership group. And together, you can see here on the screen, we have a lot of expertise on our group, and we are just very honored for their ongoing support and partnership, and all that they're doing today to raise awareness about concussion. So thank you all to our coalition partners. So today is National Concussion Awareness Day, and so we've been really excited to be talking about this day and all of the great resources and tools that we wanted to share to help you raise awareness on this day. So the day is finally upon us, and we'll get to talk about all of the great ideas and innovative work that folks are doing in our communities, online and offline, in a bit. But first, I wanted to welcome our special guest, Dr. Brooke Mills. Brooke is the founder of National Concussion Awareness Day, and so she may be a familiar face to some of you because we've been working with Brooke for a while now, and always appreciate your partnership and collaboration, Brooke. And it's great to see you. So, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I cannot thank you all, at the Concussion Awareness Now Coalition and the Brain Injury Association of America enough for your support and tackling this concept with me year after year. So this year, is my 10-year anniversary from my brain injury. So in March, I was kicked in the head in my mandatory gym class, and I was knocked unconscious, and there were no teachers in the room. My peers and students helped me, come to, and I realized I had a black eye developing pretty quickly, but it was the invisible injury that I was about to be met with that I had not fully ever really understood or known what was going to be in my future. And I was a competitive dancer. I was dancing about 16 hours a week as a freshman in high school. I really loved dance. I loved that art. I wanted to be a professional dancer, even though I'm only 5'1", and it's hard to be a professional dancer at such a short stature. But that was always my goal, and I loved moving my body, and I loved school. I loved learning. I loved reading. And after I was kicked in the head, I wasn't able to find my way to the nurse's office, which was probably my first red flag after being in that school for a very long period of time, that I couldn't find my way to the nurse's office. I had a headache developing, and I knew nothing about concussions. I thought that was something that only affected football players. I thought that that conversation really just stayed out there on the sidelines, and it wasn't something that was going to ever affect me, or even so deeply in my life. So my
Mhm.
mom picked me up from school. My mom is an incredible chiropractor. She went through chiropractic college when I was just a young child. And so we did what we knew best. And she picked me up, got me a salad, fresh juice, and got me adjusted, made sure that my brain was connected to my body in the best way possible to make sure all those messages were getting down to my brain and from my body back up to my brain. And I felt great. I was fine, and she put me back in school. And the biggest red flag that I had then was going and returning back into the classroom. I sat in my English class, which was my favorite class, and I fell asleep. And that is something that is not like me. I was a straight A student, and I loved and cared about my academics and wanted to go very far in my
Okay.
scholastic goals. And I was very nervous as to what the future was going to hold for me. And after that, I was in and out of school for the next 6 months. I wasn't really able to return to my freshman year and started school up again my sophomore year. But it was a really incredible challenge being a part of a huge school. I was the first student to participate in the Return to Learn guidelines because nobody had utilized them, and
Mhm.
nobody had reported or had their concussions diagnosed. So even though I was in a class of a nearly graduating class of 1,000 students, I was the first person to be able to go through that. And so it was such a learning experience for my family, for my
Mhm.
teachers, and really for myself overall. And so I became very passionate in making sure that we were talking about concussions and that we were eliminating that stigma that I was under, the impression that concussions only happen to football players.
Yeah.
My biggest issues were memory loss. So I lost about 2.5 years of memories from before my brain injury. So before my concussion, before I was kicked in the head, all of middle school, I pretty much don't remember, which
Mhm.
isn't the worst thing to forget, I guess. And then 2.5 years after my concussion, I wasn't able to maintain and create new memories. And so I have
Mhm.
about a 5 year gap in my memory, which became really challenging throughout school. I had a lot of light sensitivity, nausea, sleeping problems, balance
Mhm.
problems. But I think my family will continue to attest that the biggest shift in who I was as a person was the personality changes that came about after my brain injury.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And your story, I think just as you were saying, just you really, the common misconceptions around who it happens to, I think it's just so important to, to for people to understand that it happens in all of these, variety of situations, and that everyone's journey is so different. So, so thank you for sharing that with us. Can you tell us a little bit about, how you thought about, the idea of a concussion awareness day, and like how that, because you were talking about the importance of, wanting people to know about this. And so how did that get started?
Yeah. Well, my grandfather was a state trooper in the state of New Hampshire, where I'm from, and he always told me that everything happens for a reason. And in the post brain injury world, where I had lost so much of my personality and of the things that I cared about so deeply, I found that my reason for this injury and for this completely changing the trajectory of my life was so that I could help others and be a part of this conversation and help make this a reality. So I found it great level of healing in being able to use my voice and speak to other students. So I really started with a partnership between the Brain Injury Association of New Hampshire and my little old wee self at 15 years old. I became a peer-to-peer lecturer. So what I would do is I would be able to tour different schools across the state of New Hampshire and different health classes, speaking about my story and teaching
Mhm.
other students what the signs and the symptoms are of concussions so that they are educated. I didn't know what the signs and symptoms are of concussions before my brain injury. And so I knew that
Mhm.
there were so many key aspects to this conversation that needed to happen. And it needed to start in our younger generations, because
Mhm.
I truly believe our older generations are a little bit hard headed when it comes to the way that they view concussions and brain injuries, and that walk it off culture is very thick and very well grasped in those older generations because they just don't understand. And I can see it because a lot more information has come out about brain health and the importance of taking concussion seriously, and the importance in establishing a diagnosis for your first concussion, because you're 2 times more likely to sustain a second concussion, and it
Mhm.
continues to increase from there. So I felt like by starting with our kids, it was able to make a lasting impact through generations to come. So I started with that partnership. I fell in love with sharing my story and um, giving that support to other students who had experiences similar to mine and had experiences with bullying after a brain injury, and so on and so forth. And hearing
Mhm.
their stories and validating the experiences that they had was very healing for myself. And then I went on to create a New Hampshire Concussion Awareness Day with our then Governor Maggie Hassan. And so we created a resolution stating that the third Friday of every September was New Hampshire's Concussion Awareness Day. And then, I felt like I was thinking a little bit small, because concussions don't just happen in the state of New Hampshire. It is a worldwide and nationwide epidemic that we're continuing to learn more about and unveil more and more information surrounding concussions. And so I created the patent and got it patented and trademarked with the trademark offices of the United States, and found 2 senators to be able to create a bipartisan resolution to be able to pass on the Senate floor each year, recognizing that the third Friday of every September is National Concussion Awareness Day. So this is the 8th National Concussion Awareness Day and the 5th National Concussion Awareness Day that it has been recognized on Capitol Hill. And so it's just an honor to be able to see all the conversations and all of the action that happens surrounding National Concussion Awareness Day, because the goal was just to start the conversation. I want to see more news headlines talking about the importance of real life, day-to-day concussions, not just
Mhm.
our NFL players, because things don't always feel uh, like it could impact you if it's only being talked about in regards to the
Yeah.
National Football League and large playing sports. So that was really my goal, and I'm so proud and honored to continue to see it to grow and flourish, and have you all here to join this conversation and how we can make an impact surrounding concussions.
Well, I'm blown away at how much you've accomplished, especially from your journey being in high school, right? And this started when you were a student. And so to really be able to be such a strong advocate and recognize the need and, the just the opportunity to convene around this issue and to make it national. I think, just what a testament to you to share your story in that way and to use your experience to be this opportunity to build community and awareness around. So thank you for all that you've done for this movement. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. So I guess Brooke, so for someone, we get a lot of questions often, from champions. We call them awareness champions for the cause. Anybody that wants to get involved in this kind of work to share, educate, and raise awareness about concussion. So for someone who might just be kind of getting started in this journey of, thinking about how they can raise awareness in their community or within their school setting or workplace, what are some tips that you would have for them?
I love getting into the school setting. Health teachers in particular are always in need of some support and some real life demonstration, dare I say, of health topics that impact our kids and impact our students. And so my biggest advice would be you can search on public records, emails, you can find emails to the teachers in your local area on your school district's website. So you can reach out to them and create a presentation that includes the signs and the symptoms of concussions. If you've had a brain injury, share your story, show some personal real life experiences, because that's the lasting impact that these students will be able to walk away from and better realize that this could impact them or somebody that they love, and how relevant concussions are today. You can also do the same for after school activities. It might be clubs. I love going into dance studios as once a dancer, because I think it's important that they realize that it can affect them as well. I have created a partnership with my local Whole Foods to be able to be an ambassador for them, but a representation of brain health. And so just today I was passing out some of our Concussion Awareness Now stickers to be able to promote National Concussion Awareness Day, and just stop and have people think, wow, my brain health is really important, and that it is important to protect my melon, and taking that pledge and continuing to see the amount of efforts that we're doing here with the Concussion Awareness Now Coalition. But at the end of the day, it really comes to sharing your story. You can also reach out to local news stations with your story, especially on National Concussion Awareness Day. It's a great opportunity to capitalize on this opportunity to share your story and speak your mind. Encourage others to share their story on social media. That I love at the end of National Concussion Awareness Day to be able to scroll on Facebook and see how many people have shared their stories, because you sharing your story on your feed allows everyone in your surrounding circle to be able to see that and hear your story, and give you that sense of purpose, and that you've started that conversation for at least somebody.
That's great. And I would just like to put in a plug, because we do have a couple of resources to help with some of these tips that you shared. So at Concussion Awareness Now on our website, we have a downloadable PowerPoint presentation slide deck. So it has an overview of concussion. It goes through the signs, symptoms, the importance of getting checked. And then there is places for people to insert, and customize and tailor it to include their personal story and why it's important to them to raise awareness. And so we do have that available. We also are we've launched a video campaign during this campaign for National Concussion Awareness Day. And so we've been getting lots of great videos from people who are sharing, their personal journey and why it's important to them to participate in raising awareness. And so we're sharing out those videos periodically throughout the day, and they're also on our feed. But I think, all of that is just such a great point to, the importance of sharing your story. And we want to be able to help people with resources to do that and make it as easy as possible. So thank you, Brooke.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to share a little bit about our concussion awareness champions. And, first, sometimes we get questions around like, what is a champion? And so the simple answer is that anyone who wants to raise awareness is a champion. So we do ask you to sign up with us as a champion, so that we can make sure that we're updating you on all of our latest tools and resources and ways to get involved. But anyone can be a champion. So we have healthcare providers who are champions, patients, survivors, caregivers, and then just general people who are interested in the public of raising this issue and teachers, those sorts of folks. So really, if you're interested, we invite you to be a champion. So so all of you on this webinar today are champions. And so just to kind of see what folks have been doing for National Concussion Awareness Day, we thought we would just do a quick poll. So let me see if this works. So we're just asking everyone on the call today, just take a second and just thinking about how are you starting the conversation today on National Concussion Awareness Day? Maybe you've started the conversation already in the weeks prior, or maybe you're thinking about how you start the conversation going forward. So really just asking you how you're starting the conversation. Whether you're doing the online, offline, both. And then what types of activities are you thinking about organizing or have you organized? Whether that's things like, had a conversation with an individual or a group of your family members or friends. Have you hosted a presentation or had an information table with concussion awareness information? Have you been sharing on social media or other ideas? So I'm just going to give you a couple of seconds more to weigh in here with your thoughts. I'll leave it open. I see that people are answering now, so I'll just give it a second, and then we'll see what everybody has come up with. It still looks pretty busy, so I'm just going to give it another minute so that everyone has a chance to weigh in. Okay. It looks like it's slowing down now, so get your answers in, and then I'm going to end the poll and we'll see. Okay, let's see. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Can everybody see the results? I can't tell if they're visible to everybody. I can tell you if I can share with you what it says. Oh, let me see, share results. Can everybody see this now? Yeah, okay. So thank you all for your feedback. So it looks like there is, a pretty good mix of people who are champions, who are raising awareness both online, offline, and like a combination. So that's fantastic. And we've been seeing a lot of activity on our social channels where people are tagging us in their posts, as well as folks submitting photos of them out and about in the community. So that's great. So do please do send us your updates and photos. We always love to share them. I mean, it also gives people ideas for like other things that they could do too if they need some inspiration. So that's great. Okay, what types of activities are you participating in? So it looks like we kind of have a tie between having concussion conversations with your family, friends, colleagues, people in your network, and then sharing information on social media, which is fantastic. We've had some folks who are hosting a presentation or doing an information table, sharing our resources, our educational resources, and other. So if you selected other, I would love if you could post it in the chat so we can get a sense of what other ideas you have, because we love to include those great ideas too. But thank you everybody for sharing your participation. And so these are, again, a champion can be anybody. So we definitely encourage you. And if you're here today, you're definitely a champion. We encourage you to invite your family and friends to join us too in this effort, because the more that we have in our network, the stronger our voices are, about raising awareness. So we appreciate all of your participation. So these are some of the ways that people have already shared that they are participating this year during National Concussion Awareness Day. And so just to give you some sense of what people have already shared, that, and some of these ideas are happening today. So some folks are having an information table at a local hospital. Some people have said that they're distributing copies of our conversation starter quiz, in their meetings, and we're happy to share that in the chat as well. that's a great myth and fact kind of opportunity to start the conversation, see what people know, what they think about concussion, and then have some conversation around it. Sharing can stickers with kids while they're wearing their bike helmets. So some people have said that they're out and about, like on their local bike trail. Some people are setting up tables near there and they're handing out these stickers. So we have a variety of melon stickers, and these are the ones that Brooke was handing out too at Whole Foods. So we definitely have stickers available, which is great. People are providing workplace education to their colleagues, sharing concussion information with their classmates. Some folks have shared that they're fundraising for concussion education initiatives, so to be able to support work like what we're doing here with raising awareness. So we are grateful for that. Sharing educational presentations to students, professionals, consumers, growing our champion network, and others. So these are just some of the ideas that are great and that have come in so far. We're so grateful for all of the work and the awareness that you're working to raise. So just wanted to thank you all for that. Just some ideas to give you a sense of people participating on social media. We do have a lot of social media participation. So these are just some snippets of what's happening on our Concussion Awareness Now channels. But you can see there's folks that have used our starting the concussion conversation sign, the selfie challenge, which has been really great to see. Some folks raising awareness about getting involved in our program today and about getting the facts around concussion. So some of these are our coalition partners as well. So thank you for spreading the word. Excuse me, the Brain Injury Association of Ohio has put a quiz on their social media, which is great. So again, more signs, which is so great because everybody has a different perspective, and so sharing why it's important to you and what you're doing is just so important because we have such a great variety, in our network here. So more social media, so more signs. This athletic group is printing out the signs so that they can use at one of their events. So all of these are just so great and exciting to see on social media. If you're using any of our tools on social media, please do tag us so that we can also reshare it on our platforms as well. A lot of folks have utilized our video submission tool to share their story and raising awareness on this year's National Concussion Awareness Day. So these are some of the folks that have shared their videos. So they're available on our social media platform, but I encourage you to keep posted with that because there's just such a great stories that are really inspirational and raising awareness of why it's important to them and their own personal journey. It's really impactful. So I encourage you to check those out. And then earlier this week, Concussion Awareness Now hosted a concussion conversation, a virtual event in partnership with National Council on Aging, one of our coalition members. And so we talked about the connection between concussion and falls prevention work. So encourage you to check all of those out on social media. We've had some events and presentations already happening this week, and others are happening today. So if yours is happening today and you're watching this video later, please submit your photos still so we can share those on our social media and in our newsletter and so forth. But we've had a hospital that is hosting a concussion awareness event today, which is really exciting, and you'll see a lot of melon themed stuff in these photos here. So I love the decor of the melons, and there's Brooke at Whole Foods. So Brooke is sharing information at Whole Foods, as she said. Classroom presentation here. And then also a teacher is sharing information with her students and handing out stickers. So just lots of great events. And so we look forward to really celebrating all of these great events. We're really grateful for everyone to help spread the word. So just some great examples there. And then we also just wanted to, remind everybody that, certainly this is a great opportunity and a great moment, to really think about today being National Concussion Awareness Day and what that means for all of us joining our voices together. So there's such strength in that. But we also recognize that there's a lot of opportunity to continue the conversation, beyond today. So if you are joining us for the first time and you're inspired to take action and do a presentation or host an event, rest assured you're encouraged and welcome to do that at any time that you see fit. So certainly these resources remain available to you that can be used, at your discretion when it makes sense for you, in your community as you're thinking about how you can start the concussion conversation. So just a couple of reminders, we do have an online toolkit. This is the myth and fact quiz that I mentioned before. So this is a great resource to print out and hand out if you're doing a table or a presentation, or just with having a conversation, in small groups with your family and friends. We have an event planning guide if you're interested in hosting a concussion awareness event. This is the downloadable sign that you saw folks had printed out and customized. And so we would certainly welcome you to use that. And then we have a variety of social media posts that you can download and post on your own social media with these graphics to help share information about concussion. And then if you are planning an event, we do have a form that we ask you to fill out. We also do have still some supply of stickers. So if you are hosting an event and you'd like to request some stickers, please do fill out the form. And definitely, if you're not yet a champion, the QR code here will bring you to that page. So just you can simply scan it or follow the link in the chat. And then you can sign up as a champion to make sure that you get our newsletter and all of our latest tools and resources. So with that, before we wrap up, I'd like to open it up to see if there's questions that we can address. So I'm just going to invite everyone now. If you have questions, you can use the Q&A box. And so there's one question: how do you get the resources? So Lauren is gonna put the link in the chat box, and the link to our website has all of the resources available right there for download, and you can use them as you wish. How do you request the stickers? If you submit the form and let us know about your event, and then we will mail them to you. Okay. So there's a couple more questions about the stickers. I'm glad that folks are interested in the stickers. How do you submit your concussion story? We will send a follow-up email with the link to the video submission. In our follow-up, I'm not sure if we have that available in the chat right now, but we'll be sure to send that to anyone that wants to use that portal. It's a website it's a web link, and you click it and it opens you up and it prompts you right from your phone, so you can submit your story right from there. Okay. Brooke, one of the questions that had come in also was I'll direct this one to you, is how can a brain injury survivor be an advocate while also kind of navigating their post-concussion journey?
Super duper loaded question. I was young. I was 15 when I sustained my brain injury, and a lot of the healing that I experienced just came with time. And so I had to create really great boundaries in understanding where my limits of energy expenditure could be. And so 10 years after brain injury, I'm now able to speak to 3 classrooms back to back to back and give that presentation and share my story and be a pretty mentally fatigued after that. But understanding that, maybe an entry call, or you could do a Zoom video into a health class to help take down that barrier of not being able to get to a school, or that time and energy that it takes to be able to get into that classroom. So I think it really comes down to understanding and accepting where you're at currently and creating goals for yourself to be able to get to, but really respecting your healing journey, even though you want to be an advocate for this for concussion awareness. I think you really truly can do both, but take care of yourself and understand where your limitations are and just set those goals and set those boundaries. I would go to brain injury walks benefiting the Brain Injury Association of America, and most frequently I would hear survivors tell me how much of their healing just came with time, and there's no way to speed that up and speed up that process of recovery, but there's so much that you can do to support yourself and understand and accept that, and look forward to the healing that I hope that you all get within your journey.
Great, thank you. Another question for you is, what advice would you give for someone who is wanting to start the conversation with their family around how to be aware and supportive of concussion?
Yeah, family topics can always be tricky, whether it's about concussions or a different topic. I find that across all ages and stages, the most beneficial thing is having those conversations, but being prepared. Something that happens with me with memory issues is that I don't recognize or remember all of the ways that my concussion affects my life. And so I would really practice in writing down or jotting down or somehow documenting different ways in different areas of your life that your brain injury affects you, so that you're able to articulate that to family members. Because most frequently it's very hard to think through all of the things and all of the small tasks that add up to be a lot when you're healing from a brain injury, and being able to put that down on paper or be able to have that conversation with your family members gives them background and gives them a better understanding as to the challenges that you're going through on a daily basis. And I also love this exercise because you can keep that tucked away and you can revisit it in a few months, in a few years, and see the growth in the healing that has happened. Because for me, I didn't remember the growth and the healing that had happened. And so when we don't have a place to be able to look back to, it's hard to be able to see how far we've moved forward. So I think that's a great exercise in so many different regards, but especially when trying to share and articulate the severity in which you deal with your brain injury and your healing journey, because every concussion is so unique. So they might, read the Google symptoms of a concussion and see, oh, she's not nauseous. They're not. They sleep fine, but they don't really understand how taxing it can be to go to the grocery store after a brain injury.
Yeah. And a follow-up question that I'll add to that. Another question was, how do you deal with it as being an invisible injury, and how does that affect how you interact with people and how you educate people?
It is huge. We have to remember that concussions aren't any broken bone. There's not a cast that you can see. And I felt this hardest when I was in school, or when I was at a time that I needed to explain, my situation more frequently, because you look fine, and it's hard to be able to take that element out of the conversation. But I think really that exercise of being able to have things to share with people on how your concussion affects you on a daily basis, but also be able to be own best friend and be your own advocate. Finding and surrounding yourself with people who also advocate for you. I know that this can be extremely challenging at times, but finding a support system that you know can help you share your story and advocate for you, and give the friends the heads up that you're having a slower day, that it's been a harder day in your healing journey. Things like that make the world of a difference in how you feel at the end of the day.
Great, thank you. We've gotten a few questions around support resources for patients navigating their journey. And so I just wanted to share that there is the National Brain Injury Information Center through BIAA. And so my colleague Lauren will also share that information in the chat box. So for anyone that has specific questions and you'd like to discuss and share with a brain injury specialist, we are glad to share that resource as well for some additional support information. We are getting a little close to time, and so for folks who have not yet had their questions answered, rest assured we will make sure that if there's specific information that you're looking for, that we will be sure to connect with you offline as well. We have time for maybe one or two more questions. So one of the other questions was around how to start the conversation in the workplace and with like medical professionals. And so, we do have again like an opportunity with our downloadable resources, and you can customize different parts of that presentation if you wanted to use as like a talking key points. But we also just launched on our Concussion Awareness Now website an educational resource hub specifically aimed at healthcare providers. So that would also be a great resource that is available. It's on concussionawarenessnow.org. And then the page is called Enhance Your Education. And so that is a place where we have really curated a lot of high level information around concussion, focused on different filters that you can search based on diagnosis, ongoing management, return to activity. There's patient educational materials in a section, and also collaborating with a multidisciplinary group of providers. So there's lots of different resources there. So if you are a healthcare provider, or for those who are asking around how to start the conversation with providers, I just wanted to share that resource exists as well on the Concussion Awareness Now website. Excuse me. So there's lots of great information again on our website. I would encourage you to visit that. And then, certainly we will be sending out a follow-up email after this webinar with some additional resources as well. So no worries if you didn't grab them all from the chat. We'll follow up via email as well. But just to close us out, I did want to just encourage everyone to make sure that you're following Concussion Awareness Now on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so that's a great place where you'll be able to see stories and photos of all of the great activities that people are doing today and beyond for National Concussion Awareness Day and raising awareness there. We have a Concussion Awareness Now blog, so that's on our website too. And so that's where we also post some updates and latest news and resources. So certainly encourage you to visit that. In addition to all of the other sections of our website, which are we try to keep very informative and easily accessible and easy to share. So definitely would encourage you to visit that. And then save the date for our next event. So on October 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be hosting a live event on our Facebook and Instagram channels. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we are going to be hosting a live event with a panel of some of our coalition members and domestic violence experts to talk about the connection between concussions and domestic violence. So certainly an important topic that I hope you'll all join us for our next activity. But just to close us out for today, this has been so great to convene and to see all of the great things that people are doing. And thank you for being our champions. Together, we're really making a difference. And so encourage you to continue to have those concussion conversations in your communities, online, however you see fit as participating, but we appreciate all of your effort, and thank you for joining us in this work. Brooke, thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all again so much for being advocates and for starting the conversation. This whole mission and this day was not possible without all of you and without our survivors. So thank you for standing up and being an advocate for not only yourself but for everyone else that's also affected by brain injuries.
Thank you so much, Brooke, and thank you all. Lauren, my colleague, thank you for your help on the webinar production today. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your National Concussion Awareness Day, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.